Hey, do we have any other announcements right now, gang? From Polly or from Patricia before we begin?
Nope, nothing for me, except I hope each and every one of you has a plan for how you will vote. That's not a political announcement, that's a democracy announcement. Have your plan, please.
Okay, well, if we're all muted,
Sorry, Pittsburgh Friends meeting. Is this what voice part is Pittsburgh Friends meeting?
Sorry about that.
Can I just ask a question? Is the link the same every week then?
It is the same every week. I will
Okay.
send it every week just so you have it handy, but it's the same. You can bookmark it.
If you want to just put it on the calendar and the thing.
It's a public calendar.
Okay, all right.
I don't have a private members calendar, although I suppose I could create one.
okay, then let's start singing, yeah? Sorry, my piano's a little bit out of tune. I'm working at home tonight, but you know, you sing out of tune sometimes, so there we are. Let's just sing on follow, going down the scale. Get yourself in a position that you can sing well. Every note should be your best note. On follow, take a breath, and go. Let's do that again. Be sure you have even vibrato on each note. Every note, your best note. Again, and go. Up a half step, and. Fill the room with your sound. Couple more, now. And one more. Your breath, go. Good. Here we go, ready? And now. E-O. E-O, E-O, E-O. Be sure that on the O you have a little pulse. You lift and pulse. Pull in the belly button and lift it into the spine. Ready? And now. E-O. That's it. E-O, E-O, Basses drop down. Keep going. Altos drop down if you need to. Two more. Fill up the room. And one more. Okay, back to middle voice. We're going to do it on mi, me, ma, mo, mu. All in one breath. All 5 Italian vowels. Mi, me, ma, mo, mu. And try to marry and match those vowels. Ready? Begin. Don't open your mouth so much for the me. Me, me, not me, me. It's not so open. Begin. Sorry, my piano playing. One more. Let's do one more exercise going into low voice. On same vowels, we'll do it on mi, mi, me, ma, mo, mo, and. Find your low voice. It should reverberate in the chest. And. Sopranos and tenors, you should still be good for one more. Go. Let's try two more, just for fun. Okay, so let's see if there's any announcements for the latecomers. Anything before we go to our rooms? Ben, are you here?
I think it's me this week, Thomas.
Oh, is it you, John Eric?
Yeah.
You're here. Okay, cool. Well, let's go. Let's go off to our Zoom rooms. Men, get out your samakti bumarin li.
This is Nancy. I'm sorry I missed the last two rehearsals. Can somebody tell me how I go to my room?
You will be taken there.
Oh,
Nancy,
okay.
you are in your room.
Thank
You're
you.
where you need to be.
Okay, thank you.
I don't
Hi.
know how to do it either.
It's Elizabeth Chris, and it looks like I've been assigned to the tenors and basses. I'm getting a prompt for that, so it might be because I came on with my husband's name at first, but just making sure I'm in the right spot.
You are here. You are with us.
Yeah, it just showed me that I've been assigned to tenors and basses, so making sure that was.
What is
Not
Theo
right.
doing here?
Theo,
Yeah,
we
really.
need to assign
Doesn't
you.
look like I'm in the right room. So, Patricia, are we
Yeah.
in the original room or are we in the breakout room?
You are in the original room.
All right.
Oh, that's why it wouldn't said breakout. Okay, I'll mute
Yeah,
myself.
okay.
Am I in the right place? This is kind one.
You are.
Yep.
Okay, super. Thanks. Sorry.
All right. So everyone can hear me and hear my piano? Yes? All right.
Mhm.
Okay. Let me check something real quick before we start. I want to attach a file in the chat, assuming I can do that. Let me check. All right, this will work. Just a moment. So once I get this file in there, it's going to be what we cover today. And it's searching in a strange way. Sorry. I can't find it. So this document will have a bunch of links that I'm going to use for today that you can follow on your own as well. Stay with me while we do this, and then you can explore these links on your own later. Okay, it's not connecting. So I sent this to Patricia as well. We'll share it with you that way. So forget that. I'm going to start by sharing my
Good, because you were scaring me.
Sorry. I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you. And you should see a Word document pop up. Got it?
Yeah.
Nod your head. Okay, thank you. So we're going to talk about the singer's formant. And it is spelled correctly. It's not a format, although I always thought the words were very similar. Formant refers to the sound envelope that you get when you put your mouth in a certain shape. So that certain shape is referred to as embouchure, and the other word here is legato. And we're going to use something called a spectrogram to do that with. So first, let me demonstrate for you what I'm talking about, and then we'll go in and look at some of the resources that I found for you. Stop share. And we're going to come back to my face for a second. So if you don't see my face really big on your screen, you're lucky. If you don't, however, click on speaker view or full screen or whatever so you can see my face really well. So what I want to talk about is how we sing different vowels, even on the same note, and they sound so different from each other. There are ways in opera and in classical music that we're expected to unify our voices, regardless of the text we sing, and in many ways, regardless of the note we sing. So here's the way I want to approach that. We'll use Thomas's exercise, and he's saying mi, me, ma, mo, mu. And when you do it, your objective is not to keep your mouth shape the same, but to keep the sound the same. And some of those overlap, of course. So watch me first. Mi, me, ma, mo, mo. The shape of the lips was largely the same in an oval shape under my nose. Yeah? The space between my teeth was largely the same too. I'm going to make it bigger so you can watch my tongue as well. Mi, me, ma, mo, mo. Even on the oo vowel, the tip of the tongue never left the bottom teeth. So if you see your own face on the screen, take a moment to make yourself as big as you can, or maybe look in a mirror, maybe on your phone, and try that pattern on your own with your screen muted and see if you can keep your jaw and your tongue in the same position for both. I'm going to do that once more. Mi, me, ma, mo, mu. It's hard to see the oo. So again, your objective is to keep the lips in the same position for all 5 vowels, to keep your jaw roughly as low as it is for all 5 vowels, and to keep your tongue attached to your bottom teeth. Okay, could I get a volunteer to try that for us? You'll have to turn on your volume. I'm looking for a hand up. Is that you, Ellen? All right. So go ahead and unmute, and if you could sing that pattern for us, and we'll talk about it.
Okay, you guys, I'm only doing this because he gave me voice lessons last year or whenever it was. So I already know this, but I may mess up anyway. Do you want the me's in there too? Me, ma, ma, mu, mu?
Sure, go ahead and do it. I'm not even sure how it's going to work over the Zoom, but we'll go.
Okay, hello. Mi, me, ma, ma, mu.
Good. So I have Ellen on in speaker mode, and when I'm not talking, she pops up. And I'm going to ask her to do that again. And this time, pay special attention to how vertical her mouth opens and see if it reverts to the same shape every vowel. Go ahead again, Ellen.
Mi, me, ma, ma, mu.
Good, Ellen. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you one more thing to do with that. So as you listen to Ellen, you should be able to see that she's pretty stable in a physical way, with the way she holds her mouth. You can see that the tongue drops a little bit as she goes, as it did for me. The me has a very arched tongue. Me, you can see it arches up behind my teeth, but moo, the tongue lays flat and tries to disappear. We're going to talk about that too. So what I want you to notice this last time that Ellen does it is that the ring, the edge in her voice, is the thing that stays the same. So she maintains a physical posture, so to speak, or an embouchure that results in that extra ring staying the same the whole way through. Go ahead, Ellen.
Mi, me, ma, ma, mu.
Very good. Very good. Thanks, Ellen. So not only the energy, but you could not only the ring in the voice, but the volume stays largely the same too. And even on darker vowels, you can hear that bubbles to the surface every time. So that is called a singer's formant, and it's a special kind of peak in the acoustics. So I'm going to share my screen and show you what that looks like in what we're calling a spectrogram. All right, so let me find a good one. We'll use this one here. I have a couple to go through with you. So this is my least favorite of the spectrograms I was working with. But what it does is it highlights different frequencies that vibrate. The ones at the bottom here where my cursor is bouncing around is the fundamental, and it'll move up and down as my pitch changes. La, 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 So as you watch these bands at the bottom, that corresponds to the note you hear. The stuff at the top is the overtones. So when I make a particular vowel sound, you'll see that there's a band at the bottom and a band around here, around 3,000. Listen to this. Let me use your range. Here and here. So I'm going to do a couple of ways of singing this. And the first is I'm not going to make that space in my mouth. I'm just going to allow it to be neutral, like a speaking voice. And then I'm going to put that embouchure on it. And you'll see that this lights up right around 2,000 to 3,000. Listen. So this band, this kind of mass here, always vibrates in the same spot, no matter what note I'm singing. Right here between 2 and a little over. So that is what we call the singer's formant, and opera singers specialize in making that extra ring quality happen at all times that they sing, no matter what the word, no matter what the vowel, no matter what the pitch. So I'm going to experiment with a couple vowels. I want you to watch it go by and see how it changes depending on the vowel I sing. This is Thomas's mi, me, ma, mo, mu. Mi, me, ma, mo, mu. So that band is a little higher than on some vowels, but it's always there. If I do it in a more neutral way, mi, me, ma, mo, mu. You see the difference here at the end when I turned it on. That's what we expect from classical singers. All right? So it's kind of weird to explore this way. I'm going to come back to you. It's kind of weird to explore this way, but it's really informative, but can be a little dangerous. So it seems that Patricia shared that document, and you can open this up yourself, but I'm going to go back to it and share it on my own screen. And we'll follow a few links here. Okay, so you should see my Word document right now. For some background, this is the National Center for Voice and Speech. I'm not really familiar with the organization, but they had some good information about it. So I'm going to follow that link real quick. I'm not sure it'll take you there. I might have to share something else. One second. This has been my learning curve. How do I properly share my screen?
Just share your whole screen.
Yeah, exactly. So follow that link. See where it takes me. Okay, so the National Center for Voice and Speech. This is a good description of what this thing is. The singer's formant makes our voice seem louder when we're not actually working any harder. And that's why an opera singer can sing piano or pianissimo from the stage over an orchestra and still be heard in the back of Heinz Hall. It's because the orchestra is perceived to be so much louder than a single singer. The answer lies in the way the sound energy of the operatic voice is distributed across various frequencies. So this little chart was created by a scientist named Johann Sundberg, and the book that this is drawn from is called The Science of Singing. It is an academic text if I've ever seen one, but if you like that sort of thing, it's beautiful, very elegant. This chart explains a lot. So natural speech follows this spectrum. Our low notes are all here, and they're pretty loud on the fundamental, but these are the overtones, and they get weaker and weaker as they go. That's a normal distribution. The orchestra, the dotted line, the dash line, the orchestra is the solid line, follows the same contour. It's just as loud as natural speech. If you shouted in the middle of the orchestra, we'd hear you as one of the instruments. But this dash line has this extra peak here that no other instrument can match. And because of that, the human voice, if it's used correctly, can dominate over a full orchestra, right? So the way you create this singer's formant, as it's referred to, is by shaping your instrument. So I don't actually like the way this is laid out, but they're talking about the space above your vocal folds. So this is your Adam's apple, and the space above it can be narrowed. And I don't like to approach it that way. I like to approach it more from what you do with your lips and your jaw and your tongue, which are more powerful. But it is true that you're as a result, changing the space right above your larynx. Bob Page used to say this strange thing that I never understood, that in order to sing well, you needed to have buck teeth and a fat neck. And I thought that was the weirdest thing in the world. I still don't get the buck teeth, but the fat neck makes sense. If you can widen your throat, and you can tell when you get your voice to sit that way that the voice gets more profound, it gets louder. It's perceived to be louder. But what that really is just these overtones starting to peak. So if you're looking at me, and I'm holding my face in a normal way, I don't have that extra body in my sound. But if I tuck my chin in, it automatically gives me that movie narrator voice. It's deeper and richer. Even if I'm on the same pitch, it has more body to it. So if you stick your neck out like this, you're never going to sound right. If you tuck your chin in, automatically you're going to get more sound. All right? But like I said, I get more mileage out of the way you hold your lips and your tongue and your jaw. All right. So coming back to the exercise, we're going to try to bring it full circle here. So me, me, ma, mo, moo. I'm going to take out the M's and just do the vowels. And again, you should see stability, and you should hear that the sound stays the same. It has that same edge in it. It's really hard to keep the tongue arched. It wants to flatten out in the back. But as you sing it, if you try to maintain the arch in the back, then you'll be able to keep that edge in the sound. So it's all about how the tongue is oriented way in the back of your mouth. So with the E, you'll feel it arch up. This time you're going to sing it with me, E, A, A, O, U. And as you start with E, you'll feel the tongue smashed up in the front of your face. As you shift vowels to A, O, and U, you'll feel it drop in your mouth. Your objective, though, should be to keep it as arched as you can. Here we go with me. Here's your starting note. 1, 2, E, A, A, O, U, and E, A, O. One of the tricks is to keep your lips off of your teeth as you do it, and it helps to focus the sound farther forward, but it actually widens the throat at the bottom. So by thrusting your lips forward and keeping them there, it's the same effect as tucking in your chin, right? But if you let the lips flatten out, so does the sound. So lips are forward, off your teeth, the jaw is down, the tongue is touching your bottom teeth. There you go again. 1, 2, 3, go. So even on the oo, if you can keep that arch in your tongue a little bit, you'll keep that buzz in your sound. Let me go back to the spectrogram one last time, and you can watch that happen. I'm going to pick a different one this time. This is the Chrome Music Lab. They have a bunch of cool things. You can see what the bird sounds like. You can hear what the trombone sounds like. Notice how uniform that sound is. And the reason why is that that instrument is fixed in shape. It never changes its timbre. The human voice is infinitely flexible. We can sound like all these things, including the uniform flute. So it's the same sound envelope all the time. If I do that, la, 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 it's much more complex, right? So again, we're looking around right where my cursor is now is where this 2,000 to 3,000 window is. Listen to me do it. If I don't do it as well, this wave is a little less pronounced. Oh, here it is. It's right down there instead. Sorry. So the extra buzz creates these highlights in red. Listen to that again. Flat. So I don't care for the Chrome Music Lab one as much, but it's cool. It's pretty. The one that I find most useful is the least attractive. It looks like it came right out of the doctor's office. But you can see the what do you call it? The grid, the scale over here on the right. And that high point should be right around 2000. So here, no higher than 24, I think. It's been a long time since I read that book. So here we go again, listen. E versus E. So you're looking for an enhancement of the wave. It's always going to be there. You just have to make it thicker and bigger on this one. Listen to the whole pattern. Versus thinner at the top. Okay, so I want to pause here and give you a chance to catch up. This is more of a conceptual issue than a physical one in many cases. But if you have questions about the sound waves that we were looking at, or the more studio concept of, how do I hold my face to make that happen, that'd be a great time to share that now. I'm going to go back to my gallery view so I can see all of you. Okay, so if you have a question, I see Cynthia has her hand up.
Right. I think that when I try to have that thicker sound, I swallow my voice into the back of my throat.
Yeah, good point. So I would suggest that what's happening is that your tongue is losing its anchor at the front, or that the lips aren't pushed forward enough. So if I flatten out my lips and pull my tongue back, it does sink back in the throat. You never want the focal point, the placement point, to be in your throat. It should always be up above the tongue level, right? So hard palate in the back, a soft palate in the back, hard palate, tip of your tongue, teeth, and farther forward. Great question. There's a danger here. I'm going to come back to it because it might. This tool can be dangerous. Let me leave it at that. But let me come back to that point, Cynthia. I don't see anybody on this screen, but I think somebody raised their hand. Janice, go ahead. You might be muted still.
Yeah.
There you go.
So when I do what you said, I feel tension in my face. So how can I relax and do that at the same time?
Right. This is the same danger that I was referring to with Cynthia. So if you do this, it is going to increase the tension levels only because you're using your muscles in a way that you normally don't. What a trained opera singer learns to do is balance that. So how do you create all that buzz, all that ring in your voice, and how do you minimize the tension? They're actually opposing forces. So you have to find a way to walk that tightrope. The reason why I know I'm not a professional singer and I work better as a teacher rather than a performer is that my voice gets tired real quick, like a half an hour of opera singing and I'm done. I gotta stop. And it's because I probably push the tension too far. But I really love how the sound is enhanced by that. So I'm kind of sucked in by it. But there is a danger in enjoying it so much that you end up causing fatigue or damage. It is a concern. Somebody raised their hand with the app, and I can't see that anymore. Can anybody tell me whose hand is up?
It's me, Sherry.
Sherry, excellent.
But question, how do you, the note we tried was pretty low for the soprano.
Yes.
Does pitch, how does pitch affect this, and how do we do this for high notes?
Good. So it shouldn't change much of anything. I only sang it at a low pitch because that's where I was. But even on the F, you should start to really see the effect of singing this way. And the higher you go, the more pronounced the effect is. The pitch range we're talking about is really well under 1,000, whatever the thing is, 1,000 cycles, mega something, or killa somethings. But it's under 1,000, and this peak happens well above the pitch range you're singing. So let me go back 1 second and see if I can uncover this for you. It's a great question, Sherry. Thank you. Okay. So here is, this is a Sopranos high C. And that's right about where that peak happens. So the highest soprano note is going to kind of butt right up into that good opera range. And perhaps that's why if you don't sing in good opera technique, you're probably not singing a high C. So this is a G above middle C. You can all try this one. I'll use the same vowel pattern. Versus it still enhances in the same place. C, I don't know if I have much of a C today. That's not as different as I would imagine. But again, getting any higher than that, you're going to use a good opera voice, and it should still enhance right around 2000. Good question.
What are all those low, you have a lot of low.
Okay, good. Great questions. I love this. Let me go back. So the one I'm using here is a little messy. This is 70 hertz. So we're talking 220, 110, down around the bass is low E. We can't even hear this. So that's a bass is low E, right at 70. So all the stuff you're seeing below that is subsonic noise. It's, the things I'm squeaking my chair on, the hum of my air conditioner. Everything above, say, 50 or 70 are actual notes. When you speak, though, we kind of blast across the whole spectrum. We have these high piercing consonants that pop out. The vowels that the notes I'm actually singing are right in the heart of this, from like 70 up to, middle C-ish, right around there. So these are my actual notes. Everything else is an overtone or, quote, an undertone. Good question.
So you're aiming for the overtone, is what you're.
Exactly right.
So the big things at the bottom are the actual tone, and then what you're aiming for is the overtone.
Correct. Correct. So again, this spectrogram is a little messy. This one might be a little clearer, the Google one, but it doesn't have the numbers on it. So this is middle C again. Whoops. And it doesn't really present that low stuff as much. It kind of isolates the sound. And the third one I have is noisy or messy again. But it's, there's nothing down here at the bottom. The scale is kind of focused a little higher. Good questions all. Okay, Nicole. You are muted.
I know, I had to find the button. Janice had mentioned about the tension.
Yeah.
And you talked about balancing the fine line.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to say, part of that to release that tension is not just in what you're doing with your jaw. It's also largely aligned what you do with your throat and your muscles. And what tends to happen is, even if you're trying to strain to go forward and create that space, is the lift of the larynx, which we don't want to do. You want to keep your larynx down. You want to keep your throat muscles relaxed. And if you keep those relaxed with a good stable breath that fully inhales, that'll keep this down and it will prevent that jaw tension.
Yeah, those are great points. And that's a good segue too. Are there any hands up at the moment? I'm going to take that and turn the corner here. Sherry, I saw 1 second. Anybody else with a hand up? So Nicole was talking about how the throat responds and where the feeling of fatigue and tension comes from. I'm going to come right back to that. And the 2 questions about how to balance that out. It's great stuff. Sherry, go ahead.
How do you relax your larynx or whatever? Nicole, how do you do that?
Yeah. So let me give you just the basics on that real quick. Your larynx floats around in your throat. It's basically the Adam's apple, if you can find that. And if you yawn or swallow, you should feel it go low in your throat. The trick is learning how to use the muscles that surround it to help it stay there. What happens to us, though, since we're not, most of us aren't professional singers, is whatever tension we build throughout the day, we just carry with us in our throats and we start to sing in the evening. What a professional knows how to do is to put those muscles in the right place. So there's no secret formula. but if you can emulate the feeling of a yawn, where the larynx drops really low, that's what you're trying to establish.
John Eric.
Hold on, can I ask
Sure.
Nicole to speak to that if she has anything to add about relaxing the throat, the larynx?
Yeah. Part of it is also in how you angle your chin in your head. If you lift your chin up, you're going to lift up on your larynx. If you breathe high in your chest, you have a tendency to lift your larynx, and it's the thyrocricoids. I think those are all the muscles. This has been a long time since I went to the technical terms.
Big words, big words.
I know, it makes you sound better if you use big ones. But if you're breathing low so that you're completely expanding, that's going to have the largest impact on what relaxes, because it will, your diaphragm will go down and your stomach will expand, and that allows for your breath when you inhale to drop your larynx. That's what creates the yawn feeling.
Yeah.
And
good.
You want to make sure what they call, like, you're in the noble position or the princess position, where your shoulders are back and down, almost like someone stuck a meat hook in your chest and pulled you up.
Huh.
Doing a more graphic term. But that's what's going to help relax a lot of those muscles, is how you breathe and your posture. And that's going to keep them down and keeping your head and your chin almost like you have a string from your.
Good. Yeah, I like to describe that as you're lengthening the back of your neck. And that kind of prompts you to pull your chin up and in a little bit. And then when you inhale, I see people do it all the time, where they take the whole mechanism apart and they breathe and then start singing again. If you just keep this still and keep your shoulders down, the breath happens all below that and everything else stays calm and quiet. Elizabeth, you wanted to pipe in on that.
Sorry, only after I piped in did I realize how to raise my hand. No, I just, I'm good to getting these refreshers because I haven't studied it in a long time. But one thing that I do find is that I know how to make my voice, get the larynx low. But what I find is I get to the point where I just cannot stop myself from yawning. So I just wasn't sure if people more professional than I had tips or tricks for that, of getting to that position, but not actually just breaking into just yawning your head off. So
I'm sure, I'm sure the control of the muscles at that advanced level, there is a way to deal with that. But at this point, for amateur singers, I would say if you're yawning, you're doing the right thing. So if that prompts your muscles to want to relax that way, let it happen. I mean, really, we're not gonna lose anything by doing that in a rehearsal a few times. Unless you can't sing because you're yawning so much. Is it that much, Elizabeth?
Not that much, but some days, my kids run me ragged, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. If you miss a few bars or something, it's better for the voice to relax than it is to just keep plowing through. I don't have any secrets about that. Good question, though. Okay, so I want to go back to one of the documents that I was showing you, because the real concern here is that using the spectrogram, you could work so hard to fulfill some sort of acoustical phenomenon that you actually could injure yourself. So the second link on my page is to this guy's blog. I don't know who this guy is, but he writes really smart. So some classical singers are using an audio spectrogram to see if they are producing the singer's formant, which is a band of harmonics in the roughly 3,000 hertz range. I think it's a little closer to the 2,000, but we could argue that. In acquiring these overtones, it's essential to cross-check against the function. It can be easy to bring these overtones in with some pretty nasty interfering tensions. And then, of course, some questions you could ask yourself as you do it. But that is exactly the problem. So if I wanted to create that sound, it's easy enough to create it, but it does put some stress on the voice. So what you're trying to do is get maximum effect with minimal effort. And really, the only way you can really do this is to consult with a teacher. You can play with these and explore them, but to develop good technique, you need somebody to listen to you and give you the feedback on that. There's good ideas here, but nothing else I want to read at you right now. So I'd say The best way to think about this is that in the old school studio model, where we develop terms like sing from your diaphragm or, put it in the mask, which means nothing to anybody outside the studio, what we're doing is trial and error, trying to establish the same habits that are revealed with this tool. So if you just say, oh, all I got to do is make the singer's formant and I'm there, I'm an opera singer, it's not really true. You need to get there in a way that's relaxing, that doesn't tense your voice, that doesn't wear you out, that doesn't cause like an overly nasal or harsh tone. And there are professional opera singers that have a lot of that. It's not the tone I like, but they get the edge, and that usually satisfies an opera conductor. So anyway, the idea that you can use bad techniques to achieve the same result is the danger here. So if you pursue that goal of I need to get that buzz around 3,000, true, we do want that, but not in a way that damages your voice. You won't be able to really do that yourself, but you can play around with the ideas and see what happens. Having a voice teacher is probably the best advice I can give you on that. It's, of course, largely impractical in these days. So I'm going to go back to the spectrogram and show you one other cool thing you can do with it before we run out of time. Okay, where is it? Okay, I'm going to use this guy. So one of the main ideas that I talk about is that your voice should sound the same on all the vowels and should sound roughly the same on all the notes. And whatever words or dynamic you're asked to sing, you should still sound like you, just like the trombone always sounds like the trombone. Since we are flexible in shape, that gives us a lot of power to vary our tone and to be much more expressive than anything else can be. The danger, though, is that we lose track of that benchmark, and that benchmark is established in opera, modeled in classical music, and choirs try to do it a lot too. So I'm going to start up with a high F, so you can hear this. F down to B flat will be the scale, and if we did just a simple E vowel, which really shows up well on these, you'll see how smooth I actually am singing. Every note had a different spectrum, even though they were all the same vowel. Some of you sing like that too, and you put little bumps between all your notes, and sometimes we're asked to do that for effect. But what I want you to use this tool to try to establish is a true sense of legato. So if I sing and connect the notes more, it'll be more pleasing to the eye, so to speak. So smoother connections, right? Right in here, you could tell I just slid down, but the envelope stayed somewhat the same. My vibrato started here. So one more time, this time I'm going to make that singer's formant, and I'm going to maintain it all the way down. I'm in falsetto, so I kind of lost it at the end there. But if you can sing legato with something like this, then you can really map out whether or not you are connecting. The advantage to using this is that once you establish a good sound, you need to practice how to get from note to note without losing it. Because usually what happens is we have one good note that always sounds great on the right vowel, but any other time we're asked to sing that note, it sounds terrible. Or when we move to different pitches, we lose all the magic. So the way you unify that is to create that same envelope regardless of pitch. So if my pattern was, what did Thomas sing? Follow, 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 follow. Was that it? Follow, 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 follow. I think that was it. Follow, 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 follow. I ran out of breath. So you can see where the F happens. That's normal. But the vowel, or the break, there should not be a break between the and the O, follow. The L should maintain the sound. Follow. Right? What usually happens is something more like this. Follow. And so you're really not legato when you do that. Listen to this one version of it. Follow, 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 follow. It's just casual and it's all choppy. And that's what the listener hears too, choppiness. Follow, follow, follow. Okay, it's a little better, more connected on in the middle of each word. But if I create that ring and maintain it, you'll really get a good legato. Follow, 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 follow. Ran out of breath again. So the same buzz all the way through, and the vibrato is equal as well. So the tool can be really powerful if you are introspective about your singing. I would not use this to see whether my aria is perfectly performed, but I would use it to see if I'm practicing the techniques that I've learned. So maybe I pick a short little phrase. For example, I might take, whoops. Caro mio ben. And right here at the mio, I got a little hiccup. I'll try to iron that out. Caro mio ben. Well, they're still there, but that's probably a function of the diction rather than anything else. But obviously you can see that the tool can be used to kind of see how good you sound, but it's not good on the big scale. It's only good at the low level. So when you use it, if you try to use it, dig deep and see what's happening with your voice. If you warm up with this once a day, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot. So the document that was shared with you, you should have it now I don't know where it is. Maybe it's in the chat. Maybe it's in an email. Oh, there it is. There's a link to it that Patricia put in there. So if you follow that link, you'll get that document, and it has three spectrograms and some information about where I got them from, and also some background information like what is that singer's format and who was the author that wrote about it, and the other was why you should be careful. All right, so we have about 5 minutes left, and we can take more questions on this concept, the tools, or the legato idea, which is hard for singers, but what I find is that it's really useful to get down to the granular level and see what's really happening with your voice. I think it was probably about 7 or 8 years ago that I found that to be an extremely useful tool. And all of my runs and melismas and difficult things, I do them as legato as possible. And then I allow the challenges of the music to filter in. But legato is where it starts. Legato is more efficient and more rewarding in that way for me. Okay, questions? I see none. Polly's typing something, but she doesn't have a question.
Yes, I do have a question.
Mary, great, go ahead.
So how does this apply to singing with like a pure tone that is often emphasized with choral singing?
Do you mean a straight tone?
Yes, however you refer to it.
So straight tone meaning without vibrato. Is that correct? All right. So I think the tool can still be useful for you because it really does show the vibrato. I'm not sure. I mean, Thomas sometimes asks for straight tone, and a cappella choirs usually want a lot of that. I don't know that the concepts are entirely compatible. And let me see if I can explain. So in opera singing, the vibrato is a natural byproduct of what the voice does. So if I do this note here, the only way I can create the straight tone is by holding the muscles in place. And it doesn't really establish the sound I want then. I almost can't do it without the wiggle. So to me, and maybe I've justified it in reverse, vibrato is evidence that your voice is satisfied with the balance of energy, space, vowel, pitch. And if vibrato happens in a natural way after that, it's because the voice is happy enough to do it. My analogy for my students was always, a car engine must vibrate inside the hood. If you locked it down, it would tear the car apart because it needs to move, it needs to vibrate. The motor mounts are built to absorb that. So a car that doesn't vibrate isn't actually running properly. And I think the same is true for your voice. If you're clenching everything in place, you're not really freeing it up to establish what it needs to establish. Once you get the air moving and once the muscles are out of the way, the vibrato should be a natural byproduct of that. That's my theory on it. I think you could argue with it, but I'm not a fan of straight tone. You can restrict your vibrato a little bit without sacrificing everything, but I find usually straight tone is smaller tone. And I think that's probably a limitation of my own more than anything else. But every time I hear opera, the vibrato is part of it, and so is that formant. I've not heard a voice that could sing straight tone and have that peak in the right spot. It's a great question, Mary. I'm sorry, I don't have a more satisfying answer for you. When Thomas said straight tone, I minimize my vibrato, but I don't cut it out. I don't know that that's the right way to sing. I can't do it for long. Good question. Anybody else want to add to that? Or here at the end of things, have one last question? Nicole?
I'll add to that. Having vibrato, though, does not mean that you are without tension, because the speed of your vibrato can also indicate the type of tension you have. If you have a real slow vibrato or real fast, it's also a sign of tension. But I still think you can sing straight with good quality. It's all about support.
Yeah,
and space.
Those are great points. Hyper support and hypo support are definitely issues that lead to like malfunctions in vibrato. That's a great point too. And yeah, support does a lot of magic. If you sing with good energy from the abdominal muscles, it cures a multitude of sins.
It also depends a lot on the type of music you sing. I mean, I grew up singing choral music in England, which is all straight, a lot of very straight tone.
Right.
You can't sing vibrato, a lot of vibrato in cathedrals,
Right. So, tell me about British soloists.
Yeah, well, like Emma Kirkby, she has very straight tone. She sings. She doesn't have a lot of vibrato. It's very clear, and
is she a professional singer? I don't know.
Yes, she's a professional singer. Yeah.
In opera or more oratorio?
No, not in opera. In oratorio, in Palestrina.
Yeah.
The Renaissance type of.
Yeah.
So it's a different style, right?
Definitely a different style.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking of Henry Purcell and like the Middle Baroque. I have a really great recording of Dido and Aeneas, and they have this very pure straight tone.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Like the Palestrina, there's a double, yeah.
No, I know what you're saying.
And
that is a different ideal, right? Opera didn't really develop this way until closer to the classical era. So, this style of singing was not necessary during the time of Purcell and Palestrina and Monteverdi. And Bach even, orchestras weren't that big. You had no need to sing that big. So this kind of technique developed in the classical era to compensate for huge orchestras.
I mean, yeah, you sang in a cathedral where your sound you didn't have to create a huge sound because it just,
Right. So I never meant to imply that singing straight tone is not a desirable sound, but it is not necessarily an optimal sound either. You see what I'm getting at? The way that frequency burst happens has special power to it that we usually want in most choral and classical music nowadays. And maybe that comes from, years and decades of always doing everything with 100-piece orchestra and a choir of 120. We did Messiah like that for many years because we thought it was the right thing to do. But it's not. Okay, thank you all. There's some good questions here. I don't know when I'll see you again or if I'll see you back in this. But enjoy the tools, play around with them, and see what you come up with. I think we're going to be flooded with men. Not quite raining, but something.
It's raining.
Come on, men. Rain.
So flooded. I can see it.
How did everyone do? Women, you do okay? Sopranos and altos, you learned something? Great. John Eric, thank you for doing that. And let's see if anybody has any questions before we conclude. and I can go back to work. We're doing an online opera at school, so I'll be sure that you know about it. It's going to be worthwhile. It's quite a different venture.
What is it?
It's Berlioz, Beatrice and Benedict. It's the Shakespeare. And we're doing an hour-long version that's like a documentary of the opera. It's going to be quite good, actually. And we're doing it all distance. No one's filming anything together. It's just pieced together. Any question from anybody? You should have your rehearsal tracks right now. And as I was telling the tenors and basses, the most important thing is that you get it lined up rhythmically, that your rhythm is good, because we're going to take out the piano part ultimately and it'll be a cappella. So, and that's coming up pretty soon. So spend enough time on it so you feel like you know what you're doing. I think next week women are doing sight reading and men are doing rehearsal with me again, I believe. Penny?
Stephanie Diala had a question.
Okay, please.
I was not able to make last week's rehearsal, but I just wanted to clarify, are we still doing, how many measures? Are we doing 4-bar phrases in the bleak midwinter or 2-bar phrases?
I can't remember. I don't have it marked.
I marked it as 4, but when I listened
4,
to
yeah.
the practice track, I thought it sounded like 2, and I just wanted to.
Let me decide next week, but I think it's going to be 4, Stephanie.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what we marked last time. Oh,
Yeah.
I wrote it in. It's right at the top of my page. 4-bar.
Yeah, I wrote in 4, but
okay, great.
I just,
Great.
all right. Thank you.
Anything else? Well, it's so nice to see you. Open up your mic. I mean, we've been silent for so long. So open up your
Hello.
Nice to see everyone. And it'll be nice when we can actually hear each other sing.
Oh, hi, everyone.
I can leave this mic open if you want to chat for a while. You don't have to sign right away.
Okay. Well, I got to run to go back to opera practice, but you guys stay and chat as long as you want to, or go whenever you need to. But I love you, and I'll see you next week.
Good night, Thomas.
Bye.
Thomas.
Hey,
Thomas.
Bye, Thomas.
Bye, Thomas.
Thanks, John Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you, John Eric.
Good info, John Eric.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yes,
John Eric.
Thanks, John Eric.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, John Eric.
Good night.
Info.
Thank you,
Hey,
John Eric.
Stephanie, it's really nice to see you.
That's some pretty fun tools that you gave us. I've already got one of the spectrograms open.
Yeah, I've been playing with those ever since summertime.
It's like knitting a
Hey.
sweater. There's some stripes, there's some squiggles. Some stripes, there's some squiggles.
Hey, we didn't get no tools.
Next week.
No, I didn't get to do vocal technique with you guys.
Oh.
Because, we just don't really care that much, that's all.
We wouldn't get much better anyway, so.
Oh.
Hi, Theo.
Question.
Go ahead.
Week midwinter, measure 41.
Yes.
Actually, that's the whole line here. The lining up the notes and the words. Like in 41, does the last word, does him come on the third eighth note or the second?
It's for basses and baritones. It's the and of 3. What can I give him? Oh, what can I give him? Oh.
Can I give? So we've got what can I is the first 3 eighth notes, give is the tied eighth note, and him is the last 3 eighth notes.
In measure 41, that's correct. Thanks, Tia. Hey, anybody else? Just jump in there.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I have a question on the lyrics because what I remember in the original, yet what I can, I give him, give my heart. And he got rid of the I, and it really changes the meaning of the line. And I'm wondering why he got rid of that I. because to me it's more meaningful. Yet what I can, I give him. I give my heart.
Are you talking about at the end, Kindwin?
Yes.
So I have,
That's with that.
what can I give him? What can I give him? Give my heart?
Yes.
I will
And I'm
give my
saying
heart.
if you look at the hymn, it yet what I
You know, what I can, I give
him.
Oh.
Yet what I can, I give him.
Is that the original Berlioz?
Well, it's
Setting.
the original setting. I mean, it's
Berlioz.
whoever wrote
Holst.
it originally.
Sorry, Holst.
Rosette.
But
It's
anyway, I was
original
just
Christina
wondering why-
Rossetti.
I was
The
just
text,
wondering why
yes.
Thomas took out that extra I, because to me it's so much more meaningful.
I
And
hear
was
you.
wondering
I'm
why he got rid
suggesting,
of
I'm
that.
not sure that Thomas did that. It may have been Holst who set it to music for the first time.
Well, I have
No?
always sung that piece. I don't know who wrote it. I mean, this is something, the usual 4-part harmony thing is something that I've known for, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
gotcha.
when I didn't know it. Okay. It's one of those things that's just been part of life. And we always sang, yet what I can, I give him, and sort of emphasized that because I'm giving him my heart.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And so I really missed that extra I, and I was wondering why Thomas got rid of it. So I wanted
I
to
don't
ask
think.
him that, but he's not here,
Yes.
so I'll ask you.
Well, ask away, but I have no answers for you.
Oh,
I am
well.
looking in my Oxford Book of Carols to see if. There you go.
I have one.
Go ahead, Julie.
I got one.
I got one.
Yet what I can, I give him. Give my heart.
See, that's what I'm saying. Yet what
But
I can, I
At
give
the
him.
beginning, though, it does say, "What can I give him?"
That's a question. Yes. What can I give him?
I'm just
Poor as I
mentioning
am.
that.
If I were a shepherd, I'd bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I'd do my part. Yet what I can, I give him. Give my heart.
Right. Yeah.
Quick comment for Kindwin on the penultimate measure. The score has written in a solo part that says, "I will give my heart." Again, not identical to the original poem, but at least it gets the context.
Yeah, but it's
it's a
still
good
not the
one,
same.
Kindman.
It's not the same. It's that's my one squawk about this piece. I actually have never really liked the In the Bleak Midwinter particularly until I heard Thomas's arrangement. I think it's beautiful, but I have a complaint about that particular line.
Yes, complaint noted.
Artistic license.
Yeah, there you go. Is it Caitlin? Thanks for waiting.
Sorry, I have some trombones playing in the background. But did we choose like voice parts for like when the Sopranos and Altos split? I was sick last week, so I missed that.
Did you audition with Thomas at any point?
I did. I sent in an audition.
Okay. So I think he was he pointed that out for a few people that didn't know. So I think he's trusting your judgment.
Okay.
If you call yourself an alto.
No, I'm actually a high soprano. So.
Your speaking voice is kind of low.
Yeah.
So go with soprano 1 then.
Okay. Okay.
It wouldn't be a bad idea though to send him a message and just to clarify.
Okay.
But may I suggest that you phrase it as, "I'm a soprano 1. Should I keep that for this session?" And he'll say yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Nice trombones. How long do you have to deal with that? All night long?
No, there's a limit. At 11 they stop, so they're all going to grad school at Duquesne. So
I think it's wonderful that people are learning instruments. I'm so glad to hear a real one.
Right. I don't know how you don't dream the sad trombone every night.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Sad trombone?
That's the title of the wah wah wah.
Yeah.
It's called the sad trombone.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was something like Tubby the tuba, or or Pee Wee the piccolo, which I've been looking for since childhood. I've lost. It's a wonderful, wonderful story.
I don't know that one. Sounds cute.
You know Tubby the tuba?
I've heard that, yeah.
That's one of my favorite things in the whole world.
Funny. Anybody else have anything to throw up?
I have a question, John Eric.
Yeah, Beth.
Yes. On the Samadhi,
Can you,
Yes.
on page 7 in the soprano, can you speak in rhythm the last measure, the words? I was looking at it today and I didn't know how to do the
So the end of
high.
page 7.
Yeah, top of page 7.
Top
The
of page 7.
Lamahon high the
Okay.
re.
Sure. So this is the downbeat of page 7. It is shal va be arme no ta yich le ma an up. Sorry, I lost it. Le ma an achai ve re che ve re I. So the rhythm le ma an acha che. I always say ha. Sorry. Le ma an ache ve re I.
John Eric, it's Le Mans on a high.
High. It is high?
High, yeah.
We've been saying,
That one's not in the guide, that AI.
yeah. I thought it was I too.
It's high.
Did that come up today in your rehearsal with Thomas?
No.
Okay. Because he has written in the music a long E sound.
No, I'm looking at the actual Hebrew, which I can read, and it's high.
Yeah, okay, even easier then. So your rhythm again is 3, 4. Le ma anachai vere I.
So the A is on the C. The A is sounded because when I was
sounded.
I mean, you speak the A. I thought it was Le Mans high and the A was silent when I was.
No, it's there.
Okay,
Ma
that's my
an
question.
achai. Ma an achai. Ma
Okay.
an achai. Ma an achai. Good question. I love the detail.
And you're gonna send out the recording what you did tonight with the wavelengths.
Yeah, Patricia sends out recordings of all the rehearsals.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't know where they're posted, probably on the website.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Bye, Caitlin.
I'm gonna go too. Good night, everyone.
Bye,
Good night.
Polly.
Night.
Unless anybody has anything else for me, I'm going to go too.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Night,
Take care. See you next
everybody.
week.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Thank you.
I can't find the button. There it is.
Hi.
Okay, I'm going to just end it and then you're all free to enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you
Bye.
for your technical help.
See you soon.
I
Bye.
can't leave meetings until I get kicked out. So
Okay, here you go. Bye.